Mr. Lewis. How are you today?
Doing great, man. Just excited to be here.
All right. Well, I have a couple questions for you. Some from me, some from the students, and hopefully you can answer them. You down?
Let's do it.
All right. So the first question I have, you are considered the creator of BGMC, the BGMC cards. I mean, what made you come up with this idea, this format? What made you come up with this?
Yeah. And I think I've told this story a little bit, but I'll shorten it so it's not so long. But a couple years back, we were at our church just trying to come up with something that our children's pastor could use to kind of award kids. And we had a couple ideas, and then trading cards came to mind because I saw so much Pokemon cards making their way into our kids' church. But we just didn't have the time to do it. And so fast forward to a year ago this month, and I don't know what just it hit me. That same idea came up, and I'm like, I wonder if this would work for BGMC. And so I'd contacted David Alexiv, the national director, and I was like, hey, what about this? And so we got to talking, and honestly, when we started the idea, we just thought it would be kind of a low-key thing that would happen that would be fun. Because in my mind, and this is how silly I am, I was like, wouldn't it be cool when we do our live stream at the end of the year to be able to open packs, as something as part of the live stream? So, I mean, you just put my brain is just weird in that way. I was like, this would be a cool idea. But then after we thought about it for a while, we're like, wait, this could be a great way to teach what's going on in missions and what's going on in our fellowship.
I think you did a phenomenal job because I've seen more kids talk about generosity and giving because of these cards. So an encouragement saying, I think you guys did hit the nail on the head. It was beautiful. I love it. Our kids love it. And that's awesome. So talking about cards, you've made these cards and it was a year. Wow. I can't believe it was like a year ago this month thinking about that. With that said, there's already been Gen 1. All right. We've done all that. We've done Champions and Disasters. The next question a kid wanted to know, what's next? Is there another thing coming out? Is there more cards coming out in the future?
Absolutely. I think that's an important part to what we do. I think we want to constantly be pushing the envelope. And, for us and the team that we have around us, we have learned a lot in a year. Like, we know so much more than we did about how this works. Because I never played any trading card games. The only cards that I really collected were, when I was younger, was baseball cards and Garbage Pail Kids cards. And neither of those were a game, like just collecting. So, yeah, I think part of this was, and I think there's been several conversations about like, hey, if you do this, like, it can't just be a one-off. People want this to keep going. And so it definitely is. And we have, our hope right now is that we'll have something new by summer. That's the hope. And it feels like that we are going to be able to make that happen. We're not really revealing too much yet. Probably here in a month or two, we'll roll it out on what exactly is happening. We've got a couple ideas. But yeah, I think that knowing all that information on how to make them, how to design them, what works well for the game, and we're just going to take all of that knowledge and throw it into, as of now, what we're calling Gen 2, Generation 2.
Awesome. Well, you mentioned something about process and manufacturing. I actually have a question from me, and we'll talk about that later. I kind of want to ask this last question a kid had. Now, guy who created BGMC cards. I see the Speedy Delight and the Grandpa Buddy in your back. I see the wall of cards. And what is your favorite BGMC card that you've made?
I mean, it's hands down. It's probably everybody's favorite. Like, not probably. I know so many people. It's the Vintage Buddy. And when we were first creating cards, I was like, one of the things that our team was doing was like, let's dive in to characters or looks of Buddy, and so I was like, man, I really want to find something, just an older look of Buddy that most people may not recognize, And so I found that one, and then I was like, what if this card is black and white? And I was like, that would be a very cool turn. And So at that point, when I was doing it, I didn't really even know how the holographic stuff worked. So I designed it, and then it was kind of like, I hope this looks good. And so honestly, I never saw the finished product really with the holographic until I opened up a pack with it in. And
Dude, that's awesome.
yeah,
I would admit, I think out of all the mystery cards, yeah, I think that would be my favorite mystery card, just the way it looks. And that was my first mystery card too that I
wow, that's
got.
awesome.
So I would agree that was my favorite. Now those are questions that kids have. Now, me, I'm a person who has seen different things that are happening, and I just want to hear from you if you can explain some. For instance, General Council is coming up this year. National Fine Arts, it's known for some people. There was a thing that was mentioned about a tournament that was going to happen with the BGMC cards. It was mentioned, it was brought up. There was a few things that were said. Could you explain more on that? Tell us so we understand, hey, this is what we need to be prepared for.
Yeah, absolutely. So our plan at General Council is to do a World Championship of the BGMC trading cards, competitive. So
Whoa.
so that was when we released Champions and Disasters. Our idea is how do we take this game a little further so it's a little bit more back and forth. That's why you have like change of plans and the fact that you have to spend points to get disasters and then you're placing on it. So it's not just a one-way game that you like, did I win? Did I beat the other person? Like you're involved in the movement and the play. And really for that, what we're calling competitive, the champions and disasters added, really it's all about how you're building your deck. So you just really
Yeah.
have to think through, am I going to be a person that's going to buy a bunch of disaster or have a bunch of disasters in my deck and play that way and just constantly play off offensively or offensively, excuse me. And or am I a person that's just going to have a bunch of resources? So I'm stacked and make sure that I have enough power ups in there so I can make sure that every turn that I'm having as many impact points as I can, as many resources. So I think it's interesting the times that we've played it. It's just kind of a fun way to play the game. So our idea was that we would make it competitive, and I know in a lot of trading card games out there, that's actually a huge part of it. Is that I know that I think it's my accountant. Her son plays competitive Yu-Gi-Oh, and she said he makes money off of it. Okay, so I just want to preface it. This is not going to be a money-making thing that we're going to
Yeah.
competitive,
Makes sense.
but I think it would be something. I've always thought it would be really cool if we can add that competitive aspect to it. So all that said, we want to have these world championship at the general council, and there one of the major prizes that somebody will walk away with is a one of one world championship BGMC trading cards champion 2025. So and
That's
I
cool.
think it's kind of fun because whoever wins that will now have the most valuable card out,
Yeah.
which
That's
would be really
that's awesome.
yeah. So, but more than that, and I had a phone call today with a couple guys, and we're actually going to put together a board and begin to create the competitive aspect of it. And so we could see churches like yourself, just all over our nation that could have regional competitions and
Yeah.
win prizes. And then if they're able to come out to general council and compete in the world championship.
That's cool. So for me, I'm a person who's like I like to collect the cards. I'm not a big like going and playing the game. I've played the game with some of the students, but I know some of the students that are very competitive. They're like, I want to win every
Yeah.
game that they play. So now you're not just helping them out, but you've also helped the other. I like that. That's very unique. I'm thinking
Well,
that's cool.
and our hope with it too is that we want to incentivize in this. And again, we're still putting this together. We should have been ahead of the curve a little bit a couple months ago, but we want to incentivize. So if there are churches or districts that are like, hey, we would love to do a tournament, we want to be able to help supply some things, make it really inexpensive to have a couple prizes or things that they could give away. And I mean, for me, like I envision, these, we get to general counsel and people have those like esports jerseys on, and like we just make this an amazingly fun, just good time coming together, but doing it.
I'll watch a 3v3 basketball that goes straight to the
Yeah,
BGMC
you don't want to
tournament.
miss it. Yeah,
Oh,
I
that'd be
hope
so
that we'll be
cool.
able to have it live stream it and the whole bit, so it should be fun.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, you kind of hit it on the head earlier, and then you mentioned it just now how you want to help with getting districts the tools they need, and you've talked about manufacturing. I want to talk about that because for me, there was I don't want to say it's a problem, but I assume there was a process of manufacture because for me, I had a lot of Agent Carissas. Everybody knows I don't like Agent Carissa because every time I'd pull a card, that was the one I would get. I'm not mad about it. Eventually, I got all the cards that I need to. But can you talk a little bit about that? What was the problem? It seemed like there was a big problem. We'll say it that way with the Champions and Disasters. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, so with it, so when we first released the first the base set, the very first print that went out to camp,
The
we
people
had,
that call it OG set.
yeah, sure, OG. I love that people have named it because I never know what to call it. But those that went out, we had a similar issue, and I had a lot of conversations. And so let me set the stage of what we're dealing with here, because this may make it a little clearer. When we first had this idea to do trading cards, in my mind, it was like there's a company in the U.S. that does this, and it will be simple. And then I started looking around and realizing there's companies in the U.S. that will print cards, but even in that regard, like printing multiple different cards, there's all kinds of companies that will print single cards that are all the same, but getting a bunch of different ones. But really, the major difficulty was that finding a company that would randomize it, that would do our types. So, in every pack of card deck, there's 6 different types of cards. There's location, characters, power-ups, partners, characters. And then the same way in Champions, you have change of plans, versatile, disaster cards. And so you have those two all those different types of cards that need to go in it. So now we're even posing a harder problem. We're saying
Yeah.
we need all these different types of cards. We need them randomized, and we need an equal level of holographic cards that come in. So as you begin to enter rarity. So basically, when you start thinking through that, there's nobody. I mean, there may be huge companies that will do it in the U.S., but we could not find one. So,
That makes sense.
I looked online for quite a bit, and because we realized pretty quickly when we were like, oh, there's no way we're going to be able to pack these ourselves or do anything like that. So we found a company after probably 8 different companies that I spoke to in China. And so they were able to do everything, but it's kind of like if you don't say it, they don't do it. So in my mind, when they made the first base set, it was like, okay, I've told them to randomize. Well, they didn't randomize the packs and boxes, and because it's harder. It's like you have to say exactly what's happening. So then fast forward to Champions of Disasters, because right now, if you buy Gen 1, everything is like it is firing on all cylinders there, like an equal balance of everything. Everything's great. So the problem with Champions and Disasters is we did such a small set. If the set is larger, it's easier for them to randomize, and I don't know all, and I've had a couple conversations with them to try to figure out what happened. We did reorder and we fixed it, but when you combine all of these issues of having different, types of cards, randomizing, and then also having a smaller set, one of the things they did tell me, they were like, this is a much harder set for us to deal with based upon the size and having the rarity and all of that. So all of those kind of things coming together, I think that some of those packs and boxes got overlooked and weren't mixed up as much as they need it to be. Because it is interesting, because a couple of people are like, yeah, I've got a box that had a bunch of the same cards. But if you think about it, you might have received a bunch of Agent Carissas,
Yeah.
and maybe one other that were in a box, but that everything else is randomized. So I don't know if that makes sense, but when you have
No,
that
it
smaller
it
set,
does.
you're more likely to have a lot of the same cards in
No,
there.
that makes more sense. And
But I will say this, it was 0% not intentional. But
I believe that.
let me just say, I love the community, and it always hurts my heart when I see those posts, but I totally understand people's frustration. But the community to like step up and go, hey, we'll trade you. What do you need? I mean, every time I've seen a post where somebody's kind of feeling down about that, people always jump in, and that's what's so great. Like
Yeah.
this is God's people coming together, having a good time and enjoying it, learning about missions. We could spend our time doing a bunch of other things, but I don't know. I love the people that are part of this. So
No, I totally agree. And then I would also say it seems like you hit it on the head. It's only been a year in. It doesn't seem like that. It seems like it's been a lot longer. The fact that this is the only like issue, I think that's a blessing in disguise, really. And I think the best thing is we've been able to trade with people. Like you said, the community has been really helpful. I've been able to trade and help other people. They were like, how can I help you, or can I give you mine? I'm like, no, this game is about generosity. Let's help each other out, and I'll help you out. And so I
well,
think you hit it on the head. That makes sense.
I think the other thing I just thought about, this is kind of funny too. We we were just going to make Champions and Disasters originally just those cards about playing the game. So the super action,
Mm-hmm.
nothing really from the other set at all. And
Oh,
so the characters were actually a last minute add, because we'd had some conversations and we're like, one of the things people love is characters. And so those characters that you see in Champions were actually supposed to be for the next generation. So we
gotcha.
grabbed them out of there and put them into it. So I think all of that combined is, because I think there's only like, what is it, 8 characters or 12 characters? Like there's not a lot in it.
Yeah, no, it seems like there's only 8 characters, but it makes it seem like there's more because there's like Agent Carissa has a hollow and a regular.
So let me we don't know why she's rare. I had a conversation 2 days
Who?
ago with some of my guys on my team. We're like, why is the non-hollow rare? We can't figure out what happened. All I can think is there must be like 100 boxes that are just like like has 10 of the non-hollow Agent Carissa. That's all I
don't,
can think. I
don't
don't
tell me
know.
that because I have a box that I have not
Uh,
opened.
that would be a dream for me.
I would
You need to
laugh.
film that.
I'll
Non-hollow
try.
Agent
I will
Carissa,
try.
non-hollow.
Oh my goodness, that would be so funny.
Yeah,
It's
I don't know. I don't know
I
why
actually
that.
no, it's funny you say that. The I got sent a pack of Champions and Disasters with a trade, and I opened it, and it's actually on my YouTube, and it's one of the last things. So I'm opening it, and I noticed something in the corner, and I'm like, "Oh my goodness, it's a mystery card!" And it was the '90s Buddy.
Oh,
So
sweet.
eventually, I'm opening it, but before I got to it, I'm like, "Guys, do you see it?" And I flip it. The front card before the '90s Buddy was a hollow Agent Carissa.
That's
And I was like,
hilarious.
oh my goodness, it's still there. Even on the good thing, it threw me off.
Well, she's gonna come find you. I don't know where she is.
I know. She's gonna be in my nightmares, is what I said.
That one has been the funniest part of it. I've enjoyed the cracking eggs and the flood and uh, the
I'm
couple of
still
the other
missing my
cards.
flood. I'm still looking for that one.
Yeah, and I was like, we need to make some chase cards this time. So we did it. And man, I'm so excited about this next generation, because it's like taking all this info and knowing it's gonna be good.
Well,
So
I'm excited. Well, okay, this is a good transition piece, I guess you could say, because you made new characters, and I was happy because Speedy Delight was one of those characters. I'm a youth pastor. Okay. I helping kids. My wife's the kids pastor. So we're tagging off this next gen. Can we please see a speed to light binder? Please give me a speedy to light binder.
Yes, we can.
Yes, let's go.
And I sound like a broken record, but literally, I was on the phone. I think it's because I was driving and I had nothing left to do but call people. But that was the conversation. My wife and
Really?
I were like, "We need a Speedy Delight binder," and because we had so many people at AGLC that came up and said, "Hey, we'd love to see this." It's like, yes, we're gonna do it.
Awesome. That's going to be my binder. That's going to be my binder. I'm happy. Well, Lewis, thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for answering these questions. Is there anything else you would like to say before we head out?
I mean, just thank you. Thank you to everybody that's taken this and that's using it for God's glory, that it's teaching kids about missions. I'm just so excited about the stories. The more stories, the better. We love hearing the stories, about how this is changing people with kids church and helping their kids learn about missions, and then even down to the simplest things like this has been a great alternative for my kids to not get into games that are not God honoring. And so I just, my wife and I and the team, everybody's just so excited, and we just never expected that we'd be at this place, but we just give him all the glory and just thank you to everybody. So yeah.
Sweet. Well, thank you, Lewis. I hope you have a great rest of your day. And we're excited for what's to come.
I can't wait. It's going to be awesome.